there is a real choice that America is facing. I say it all the time. We're at a crossroads. What do you make of a city like Minneapolis, Minnesota, that slashed the police budget by millions of dollars last night? It was a unanimous vote. These kooks originally voted to abolish the police department altogether. I'm going to give you some numbers, because this is very real here in Georgia, too. How pro-police do you think Raphael Warnock is? How pro-police do you think John Ossoff is? How pro-police do you think today's Democrats are? In Minneapolis, where we have a lot of listeners, here are some numbers that I want to share with you. There have been 532 gunshot victims so far this year. 532. More than double the same period a year ago. Carjackings are up 331% from the same period last year. They've had hundreds of carjackings in the streets of Minneapolis. Violent crimes have surged to 5,100 crimes. And what did Minneapolis City Council do? Unanimously voted to slash the Minneapolis Police Department's budget by $8 million. Supposedly, they'll take the money and funnel it to other city services, including mental health teams and violence prevention programs, as they try to, quote, transform police in the city. The mayor said we all share a deep, Jacob Fry, he said we all share a deep and abiding reverence for the role our local government plays in service of the people of our city. Now, defund the police has become a rallying cry for the left that wants to defund the police, which results in actions like what we just saw in Minneapolis. And it becomes a rallying cry for millions of Americans who want to support the police and lift law enforcement up and give them all the tools they need to fight the bad guys. The left burned buildings to the ground in 2020. The left has taken to the streets many angry, violent activists, anarchists, Antifa, all of it. And don't think Biden isn't aware of this. There's an audio that was leaked. This was apparently some kind of a conversation that Joe Biden had that The Intercept got its hands on, and they published it. Listen to what Joe Biden said about the actions like the one we saw last night in Minneapolis to literally defund the police.
But I also don't think we should get too far ahead of ourselves on dealing with police reform in that, because they've already labeled us as being defund the police. Anything we put forward in terms of the organizational structure to change policing, which I promise you will occur, promise you. Just think to yourself and give me advice whether we should do that before January 5th, because that's how they beat the living hell out of us across the country, saying that we're talking about defunding the police. We're not. We're talking about holding them accountable.
Nothing screams holding them accountable better than stripping $8 million from the police department in Minneapolis, which, of course, will result in... Here's how this works. If you don't have funds for the police, if you funnel them into, mental health counselors, and good luck handling a raging, violent criminal, good luck with that if you're a mental health counselor. Maybe you can sit there and start singing folk music to somebody who's, waving a machete around. Maybe you could go back and ask them if they wet the bed when they were a child as they're, on a rampage. Oh, we're not. But this is a very important clip from Biden. You've got to know exactly his intention. Anything we put forward in terms of the organizational structure to change policing, which I promise you will occur, promise you, he said, but think to yourself and give me advice whether we should do that before January 5th, because that's how they beat the living hell out of us across the country. That's a very important clip that was leaked by The Intercept that now Americans are aware of.